Analog horror over the past few years has had such an insane impact on the internet. Some of the more notable ones, like the Backrooms, are actually being made into films. And just like the Backrooms, there are some notable ones that definitely deserve to be turned into either TV shows or movies. With that being said, here are some of my analog horror choices that deserve to have just that. First one that comes to mind is The Monument Mythos, created by Alex Kazanis. I hope I said their name right. Also known as Mr. Manticore. It's a series that reimagines U.S. history with the eldritch horror twist. Basically follows Richard Nixon and all these other landmarks that basically has something to do with aliens. Explores cursed landmarks, hidden government experiments, and alternate timelines. Definitely worth the watch, but the lore's kind of confusing. It's like 3 different stories. Not as confusing as like the FNAF lore, but still confusing to an extent. Next, we have the Mandela Catalog. A lot of people know about this one. Created by Alex Kister. I don't know if there was some controversy that went around with this guy. I'm not entirely sure of that, but regardless of that, the Mandela Catalog is still very full of lore and is actually pretty interesting to watch. It's a world where shape-shifting entities known as alternates try to replace humans. They whisper something in your ear and you kind of just go insane. Inspired by biblical horror and 80s and 90s emergency broadcast aesthetics with PSAs, distorted audio, and psychological horror elements. I think this would be a pretty interesting thing to have turned into a film. Next, we have the Walton Files. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is true, but I think it is being turned into a TV series. There's no real evidence to support that. That's just what I've heard. It's hearsay. But honestly, it's going to be kind of hard to do considering it follows FNAF in some way, shape, or form, so there might be some controversy with that. I think Martin Walls might be able to do something about that. As long as nothing FNAF is mentioned, I think you should be okay. I guess it's just the idea that really is kind of iffy, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? Next is Gemini Home Entertainment, created by Remy Abode. I think that's how you say it. The series takes place in form of educational tapes and home entertainment videos, which features cosmic horror, parasitic organisms, and growing existential threat known as the Woodcrawler. Also incorporates the moon. If you look at it, you basically get possessed, so don't do that. Also, the moon has like aliens on it. And the moon isn't actually the moon, it's like a giant ship or something. And the creatures that are on Earth are like a part of it or something. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of everything going on. But it's still very interesting to watch, and if you haven't, I think it's pretty good and it's worth it. The next is Vita Carnis. This one got its name out because of film theory, also because of TikTok, and honestly, rightfully so. The lore is very intuitive and actually makes sense. And while there is a lot to it, we still know next to nothing, which makes it even more interesting. An alternate world where bizarre, fleshy creatures evolved alongside humans. Stuff like the Mimic and the Meat Snake, all that came from this. And last but certainly not least, at least to my knowledge, the Smile Tapes. Basically, this one follows a virus from spores that causes people to smile uncontrollably, and they can't do anything about it, and they just lose all control of themselves. There's different variants to it. Variant C, they just cannot die no matter what, unless they get blown up or burned on fire or something like that. Think of it like The Last of Us, but with a twist. And honestly, it's not for the faint of heart, so if you scare easily or don't like flashing lights, I don't recommend watching this, but I'd say it's pretty good for what it is, and it could definitely give you nightmares if you get scared easily. Now, that's just my take on the ones I think that deserve to have either TV series or movies made on them. I know I'm missing some, but I haven't seen all of them. But I think it's a pretty good list, if I say so myself. But I want to hear from you. Which one do you think would actually do well as an analog horror series or movie?